And now, from Glasgow.
So, hello, welcome to stage 35 all the way through to 38 of the ET build. Now, I absolutely promise you this is a coincidence, but in the last video I did pick up on the plastic. Some people complain about parts being plastic. Now, one of the gripes that I have had in the past is plastic workings, and as soon as I saw the parts for this, I just went, oh, that's metal, that's nice, that will last. So I've often said in the past, plastic when you need the detail, but metal when you need the strength. But all of these parts are metal. So the parts that we have for this issue, we have 3501, the front shaft. Got a little hole in the top. Lovely. 3502 is a pulley. Doesn't look much at the moment, but once it's all made up, that's all going to spring into action, so to speak. 353 is a bearing, so that will obviously help with movement. And then lastly, we have a pin. Okay, so what we need to do, first of all, we will need one of these parts. Now these look virtually the same. What you need to do is make sure you have the correct part, which is the part from 33. And the two ways you can tell it, the very easy way, as you'll see, one part has some detail in. That's the part you do not want, so you want this one. But also, if you look at it from behind, you'll see it looks like a peg in a hole. So you want the one with the bigger hole. I'm guessing, I haven't looked yet, I'm guessing these two will come together somehow and they will fit into each other. So you want what will be the female port. The male ports always go into the female parts. I'm not going to explain this, but that should be easy to remember. So you want the female port and no detail. I probably over explained that one and I do apologise. So we'll start with the pulley, and we need the bearing, and on the bigger end there we're going to just push that bearing into there, and that is a stiff fit, very stiff. What I'm finding is working is push it there and it'll go down a tiny bit, push it the other side, it'll go down a tiny bit, and just keep pushing it either side. Yours may slip straight on, yours may not go on at all. But as you can see, I've got that on, so that will now move easily. Okay, and that is going to go inside the hole there on the on that bit there, and make sure that goes in. That bearing is supposed to go right inside, and the reason mine didn't go in is because I was trying to place it in an angle like that. If you put it in an angle, it won't work. It must go in level. So there is that piece in. That's very nice. Right, so then we go on to stage 2. We need to take our front shaft, and we have a pin, and that pin is going to go through the hole at the top of the shaft, and that's in nice and easy. And that is going to go into the pulley. You'll see there's a hole in a line going across. So what's going to happen is the pulley will go in there like that, and the pin, it looks like it's purely for as a spacer and a locator. Because of the pin, you can't move that pin too far either side. Now I'll be honest with you, I don't know if that's gone in. Right, okay, my apologies, I've done that the wrong way. So pop your pin in there, and you want to place the other end in. There we go, that makes a lot more sense. So it's going to go in like that. So as this goes round, it's going to move whatever's attached to that end, and vice versa. Okay, and that is almost everything. It's actually asking us to place some oil on this, so I'm just going to push that out a little bit. Now they do supply us with grease, and it's telling us, it actually says put some multi-purpose glue in the joint. That's interesting, multi-purpose glue. So would that be PVA glue? I think what that means is something to hold it in place. So do you know what, I'm actually not going to, and the reason I'm not going to is because we're going to be doing the next stages very soon anyway. But I think the glue is there just to hold the piece in place. Right, so that is the end of that particular issue. Let me double check. Yes, it is. So on to stage 36. Only a few parts with this issue. But let's rip it open and have a look. Sorry, my magazine's just fallen down. There we go. There's an awful lot of wastage with these magazines, isn't there? There we go. Right, so they are all metal apart from this leg there, this arm, which is plastic. So we have got 3601, which they're calling the rear pulley. I think we can see what's going to happen with that one. We have 3602, the connecting rod. We have 3603, which is another bearing. That moves nicely. And then we have 3604, which is a washer. It's a metal washer. I bought this tool recently. It's to help pick bits up. It's been absolutely amazing. So there's that washer. I'll leave that out because I'll need to pick that up later on. And then that leaves us with an M3 nut. They've called it M3, but I think it's because it's a 3mm nut, a machined one. And then we have a PM screw. Now, do you see what I mean about the screws? In the last video, they've given us some screws for a future issue. And then when a future issue comes out, they supply us with the screw for it. I personally can't see the point. Right, step one, we need to do this bearing onto the rear pulley. And I suspect this is going to... Oh, do you know what? That's gone straight on. So in the last stage, I did have to kind of wiggle it on. Right, so we are now going to be placing that. Remember this piece? So this is going to go in to there. And I can see how this is all going to come together and the geniusness of it. Right, so that is in like so. Nothing on... Oh, not much on that side. Right, so sorry, I was trying to figure this out. So the piece from the previous issue, right, so this is the one we've just now done, the one with the little detail on it. So we go to the previous piece. We need to place a pulley on that. Now this pulley is going to go over this piece there, and then it's going to come in, it's going to hug the pulley, and then it's going to push in on the side. So therefore this can be the only way we can do it. If we put it on that way, you see it's going to stick out, but if we put it on this way, it's going to hug. So as this goes round, and why is it suddenly, here we go, as it goes round, it's going to move this pulley. Okay, and that's how we want it. Now I'm slightly concerned because it does keep catching on that, but I'm going to trust the process. I've got myself confused now because it's just told us to put 3601 into there. but now it's telling us to place it onto there. So I'm going to pull that out. I think it's actually telling us to pull it out. So this is going to go onto there like so. So now we have this system. So this is like the old steam engines, isn't it, with the little motors on them. I used to power things. Right, I can see how this is going to go, but I don't understand. It says press the bearing into place, fit both into the mount from the assembly in issue 34, press the bearing into place and remove the pulley. Sorry, that's my bad then. So when you've done that, remove the pulley. Right, so that's that stage 2 complete. So stage 3, we're going to secure that together, and we're going to use the nut and the everything. So right, so this is going to have to be removed for this, which is a shame, because that's not going to come out very easily for me. So I'm going to have to do, there we go. Right, so ignore what I'm doing, because this should all have just come out nicely. I think they've made it slightly more complicated than they needed to. Right, so from, you'll see you've got, I'm going to call this the long end and the short end. From the short end, get your washer, thread your screw through it, and that is going to go through there. Okay, see that's now coming out. That has come out. Right, this is not the least fiddly bit ever. At this stage there's nothing stopping this. Right, okay, I'm a fool. So it's told us to put some glue on there in an earlier stage, and I said I'm not going to put glue on, and now I'm looking a bit of a fool. So give me a sec, guys. I'm going to pop a little dab of super glue on there. Okay, so the route I've decided to take is I've gone down the route of marine weld. This is something I've had in my stash for a while. This is actually a metal glue. What I would be concerned about is that if at some point in the future that this if you use super glue, there's a possibility that that super glue will degrade. If the glue degrades and then that pin falls down, will it obstruct the mechanism? So what I've done is I've just made up just a tiny bit of glue that's suitable for use with a metal and won't degrade. And what I've done is I've just filled those little posts in with the glue, and then there we go. And then what I can do if I really wanted to is just pop another little bit. In fact, actually what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue along the top of the shaft. This is probably going to end up messy, but because it's an internal mechanism, I think it will be fine. There we go. So this kind of glue, you can work with it fairly quickly. As you can see, it's got enough strength to work with, but it won't fully cure. You basically want to leave it overnight. I'm going to work with it because it shouldn't have a problem, but yeah, it won't cure until sort of good overnight. So I'm just going to have a quick reassemble of this, and I think that that's going to be a lot easier to work with. Right, so catching up to where we were up to then. Oh, I haven't put the pulley in yet, have I? So remember that the pulley wants to go with that. Now, for reasons that are probably fairly obvious, I'm actually going to leave the pulley pointing downwards, because if the pulley makes contact with that glue, it will stick it. Right, so the screw can go in there. Probably wanted to do the nut first, but it doesn't make much difference. and then I'm just going to give that a little turn with my fingers, and then that will hold that in, and then we'll finish that off with a screwdriver. No need to hold down that nut with anything. Some of you have probably found yourself in positions where you need to hold one nut and then scratch it with the other. Because this nut is being embedded in there, that will be fine. So that's operating absolutely fine, but I am going to leave it downwards for a bit. Right, so what we want to do now then is making sure we've got this the right way round. 33, that's up, that's going into there like so, and that's really difficult because that is a really tight fit. That's actually just gone straight in. And then 34, making sure, I don't think it actually matters at this point which way round you do it, so long as both of the ups are ups. Okay, and as you can probably imagine, the 2 screws that we've been saving for this issue is going into there to secure it. So I am sorry I made a slight mess up. Maybe I'm going a bit dyslexic type in my old age, or maybe I'm just being a bit lazy and not reading the instructions properly. Right, so the first screw's gone in part the way in. Second screw is going to go in all the way. It's plastic, so let this tell you when to stop, and then we'll do the first screw fully up, and there we go, and that is issue 30 done. 36, sorry. That is solid as you like, and then we have a little pulley system there. So although you're going to see the next issue in just a couple of seconds, I'm actually going to leave this for quite a while because I want that marine weld to fully cure. It's a shame they didn't have some kind of stopper. You couldn't actually, could you? I suppose, but yeah. So you do need that clearance in the middle. Very clever but very simple mechanism going on there. Really do like that. So it's gonna go, I've done this the wrong way. So I've done it the wrong way, guys. So this pulley should have been pointing upwards. I can't believe I missed that one. So having just apologized for making mistakes and telling you maybe I'm not reading the instructions, what happens, and I am worried about it because I used to be very good at sorting the instructions out. I used to have people come to me and say, oh, I can't do this, it's not happening, it's not fitting properly, and I'd take one look at it and I'd go, there you go, you haven't read the instructions properly. But not to worry, it is fixed now. So yeah, I'm going to leave this like, in fact I'm going to leave it like this, I think. And I'm just, there we go, look. Oh, I thought that was going to, there we go. So I'm going to leave that there overnight. So yeah, I'm taking a cut, but tomorrow you'll see me in a minute. I'll see you shortly, guys. Okay, so on to stage 37. It doesn't look a lot, but it's actually going to be, I think it's going to be quite a bit. So just 3 parts and some screws, even though we have this pack of screws which we won't need till the next issue. They've supplied us with new screws. I don't know, do I like this packaging in a bag? So we've got the bag of parts and then that gets placed inside a bag. I probably sound like I'm complaining, don't I? But I'm not. Right, so the parts that we've got is this 3701. This is a pulley 38T, which I'm taking as meaning it's got 38 teeth. As you can see, this is plastic, but it's good quality plastic. So I reserve judgment on whether or not I like cogs with plastic. This one is called a pulley ring. This is plastic. We've got a clutch. I like that. I like the sound of that because to me a clutch is something that helps things get into gear, like your clutch in a car. And then we have 4 FTP screws, and these are basically countersunk screws. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our pulley 38T, we're going to place our pulley ring on the top. So this looks, yeah, it's just forming the side on it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pop our screws in there. I knew that my screw driver head would be far too big. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to find the correct screwdriver head, and it's 4 screws going in there. You know that I believe you're bored by looking at screws, and I've actually got it upside down. Right, so have a look, guys. You'll see you've got a hole and flat on one side, but you've got a little hole. It's a countersunk hole. They're countersunk screws, so when they go in, it's going to be nice and flush. So I'm going to do that a little bit edited and speed it up. Okay, so they went in absolutely lovely. So if you run your finger over there, there'll be no physical evidence of those screws. You can see them, but they're not there. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our mechanism we've got here, and what we are going to do is, it looks like we need to put this in with, sorry, so we need to take piece 3703 and we're going to place that in there. Now if you have a look at this clutch, you'll see you've got some marks on there. I've just heard something. Oh, it's my printer. Right, but on the reverse we've got 2 little lugs. If you then look on there, you'll see you've got 2 holes. So all we're going to do is we're going to place that on there, and we're going to make sure that that falls into place. The best way, I think, is if you deliberately put it on wrong. You see it looks something like that. We're looking there. As we rotate it, there, you see it fell into place. I'll do that again like that, and I'll do it the other way. I think it's any one of 2 ways. So look, as we rotate, bang, falls into place. So the next step is we take our pulley, and with the pattern side against that, that's going to go in like so. So as this goes round, you can see I don't believe it. Right, so as this goes round, you see it moves that around, and that is that issue complete, and I'm going to leave it there. So there you go, guys, another good issue. So I'll see you in a moment for issue 38. Okay, so this is issue 38. This is the last issue of the pack, and this is actually, I'm sure it's by coincidence, but this is where a lot of our hard work is all going to come together. Everything that we've done in this pack is going to be finalized. I'm going to get my screws from the previous issue ready. So I've said in the previous packs where they've stopped kind of funny, you know, you're going, oh, that's a bit of a funny place to stop. But obviously, because they're doing a set number of issues per pack, you can't always help that. It's almost as though they've done this conveniently on this pack because it just works and it's a good place to stop. So the parts that we get for 38, we start off with piece 1. That is a really stiff spring. I can't even move it, but it is a spring. The next piece we have is 3802, which is a spring retainer. So I presume that's going to keep the spring in place, stop the spring from springing off. We then have a wrench. This is called a wrench, so I'm assuming we're going to use this to screw the nut in place because it's got a little nut shape in it. So that's a nice little touch. We then have 2 washers. That's all it's called. And then we have M4 nut, and that's got a built-in washer. The washer's actually attached to the nut. So what we need to do, let me just pop this back on. This was actually on from a previous issue, but the way that I let it sit, it fell off because I had it sitting that way. And I just thought, do you know what, I'm going to leave it because it can't fall any further. So on this mechanism that we've done in the last issue, we're going to pop a spring in. Make sure that spring goes all the way to the bottom. We're then going to place a spring in, and then we're going to place another washer, and then the spring retainer, that's going to go into the middle. So you see how it all goes through that little nut there. And then we're going to place the nut in place, and that's lovely because we could actually have done that ourselves. You know how most of us have a screwdriver, but they provide us with a screwdriver. Now they want us to do this. Now this is where it's getting interesting, because what they want us to do is screw this nut on so that there is 2 millimeters of thread showing from the top. Screw the tightening until it leaves about 2 millimeters, but it's really hard to do. So I think what I'm going to have to do is possibly jam my finger in there, because as that gets tight, it's gonna, you'll see, like, you see how it's trying to rotate it. So I'm going to start off. Do you know what, I've got a feeling that this is 2 millimeters. The plastic, you see the nut fits in there, and then there's a hole. I've got a feeling that the thickness of that plastic is 2 millimeters. So I would like to bet that as we twist this, once the thread appears at the top, I'm willing to bet that that is 2 millimeters. And if it is, then I'm going to declare this as one of the cleverest part works I've ever seen in my life. See, look, there's about 0.5 millimeter of thread there at the moment. It's not enough. No, I don't think it is 2 millimeters, to be honest with you. Yeah, no, it's not 2 millimeters, but it's not far off. Let me get a ruler. I never have a ruler when I'm here we go. You can use calipers and things. That is actually about 3 millimeters. So let me see if that rotates. See, that goes round. It goes round absolutely fine, but we don't know what's coming in there, so it might actually foul against something. So I'm just going to loosen that off, and that is about 1.5 millimeters. So let's go half a turn. Now I'm calling that 2 millimeters. So I was right in the first place. We don't need that glue in there. That glue is there just to hold it in place until you reach this stage. Once that's in place, see how that spring is forcing that nut upwards. It can't go any further than the nut, and as it's pushing it up, it's pulling that shaft up. So make sure that shaft is in place, and this is what you're going to end up with. And I'm actually really happy with that. Still, onwards and upwards. I'm very excited because we have 8 screws here, which we are now finally going to use. Right, so let me double check this. So it's declaring this is the front now. And the reason I say it's the front is because if you look, so my apologies for that cut. I actually caught my chair leg on the headphone wire, and it pulled the headphones out. So the reason I'm calling it the front is it's very hard to see because it's black, but you can see there's no wire holder there. If it was this side, these parts would be visible, and they're not, so I'm calling this the front. I can't remember if there was any markings on it. I don't think there is, but that I'm calling that the front, based purely on what it looks like. So what we need to do then is we need to take our mechanism. We need this pulley upright towards the top, and we need this bit facing the front. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes there, 1, 2, 3, 4 holes there, and if you look on the inside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have now got to do some wiggly jiggly pokery to get this all lined up, and what we're probably going to end up doing is having to pull this out, which is why I'm now really glad it's plastic. It's strong but slightly flexible. And what I'm going to do, I think that's the easiest way. So I've lined up the bottom holes, the bottom pegs with the top holes, and then I'm gonna walk it in. Okay, so now I've moved it almost all the way down. That's just to make sure that the holes are lined up. So I can pull this one out. Those two are definitely lined up now, so I'm going to hold those and I'm going to wiggle these. They don't want to line up, so I'm going to turn it round, holding these. I'm going to rotate. I'm going to get these two bits in. I can see I need to just pull these across a little bit, so push that out. There we go, they're in place, and I reckon the other 4 will just fall into place. That's in place, that's in place, and that's what it's going to look like with the screws off. Okay, like that. So you know what's coming next. We're going to get these 8 screws, and they are going to go, one is going to go in there, and I think I've got the wrong screwdriver head because I've still got this from a previous, but that's fine. So one screw in place there. Do you know what, I'm not liking that. Sometimes I do the screws, they go in at an angle, and it doesn't look good, and it's not going to hold the piece properly. There we go. So that's one screw in almost all the way, and then we need to do the other 7. So I'm going to take a cut, and then we'll do an edit, and we'll have a look at the piece, and then we'll all agree it's an absolutely wonderful build at this point. I'll see you shortly. Okay, I'm actually stopping halfway through doing the screws. A comment that I often make is the number of screws that they use. I've only placed 2 screws in there so far. These 2 I haven't put them in yet, and then I've put screws in there, which means that you've got screws there, and that is absolutely amazing. But they're giving us another 4 screws, so if that is strong enough, 8 screws is going to be amazing. So I'm going to cheat, guys, and I'm just going to go hocus pocus, and the 4 screws are magically going to appear. Ready? Hocus pocus, the screws are in. So this is the completed build, guys, and I am actually rather happy with it. It was obviously a bit of a hassle. Some of the parts I didn't read the instructions correctly. But it's all gone together nice in the end. Would a youngster be able to do it? Probably yes. The only thing I can keep emphasizing is read the instructions properly. Maybe read the instructions twice. I didn't, and I had a little bit of hassle. Now, what's something that I've noticed, I don't know, I think it's deliberate. If you look at the little peg on there, it's actually off center, and I'm assuming that that's on purpose. But as you know, there's a lot of things on this ET where we're like, that doesn't make sense. Like some of the motors moving one way, then hitting a stopper switch and just stopping. And I keep saying trust the process. And the reason I say trust the process is if it's going that way and hitting a stopper switch, I think it's actually activating another switch which is going to make it go that way. Then it'll hit another switch and then it'll move that way. So as I say, trust the process. But trusting the process isn't making me go wrong, is it? Let me do a little cut and I'll just bring some other pieces in and we'll do a little speculation build. Okay, I'll be honest with you, I'm none the wiser. So I think it's fairly obvious that we've got the legs and we've got the base there. I think it's obvious that the legs are going in there. This wire is going to have to come up. I can't see how it's going to go up through the cable holder. It probably will. But I think that's a little bit awkward. Actually, that's not too bad. Now, with this motor that we got in a previous issue, it's making sense that we got 3 screw holes there. We've got a couple there. I can't find anything that matches the shape. I was wondering if perhaps this is going to connect on there, but I don't think it is. I think what's going to happen is this will connect to something which will drive this. So maybe the motor will go on there and then there'll be a mechanism going up and that will drive this. Do we know what the mechanism is for? I believe that's the neck, isn't it? Yeah, so this is the neck mechanism. So what's going to happen is as that turns, it's going to push the neck up. So that will give us a rough idea of how far the neck will go up. So let's do a little measurement. This is only going to be exact. So at the moment it's protruding 1.5 inches, and at its full extension it's going to extend to 3 inches. So it's going to extend by about 1.5 inches. If you do that in centimeters, for people like me, it's about 3.5 centimeters going up to about 7.5. So yeah, I still have no idea how this is going to happen, but I can't even feel the natural way that the wires want to fall. But look, this is what we've got, guys, and to be honest with you, it's not a bad build. Now bear with me one sec, because ET, if memory serves me correct, it's 110 issues. We are now on 138. Now, although we're not halfway through, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 packs to go. We are more than a third of the way through, definitely. We're almost halfway. In fact, I would say 2 more packs and we're halfway through. Do you not think it's gone quite quick? It has in reality been 8 months, but I don't think it seems that long. What do you think, guys? Anyway, look, guys, I'm going to finish the build there, because it's quite a lot of video I've recorded for this. I will try to get back to the 3 and the 3 videos next month. We'll see what happens. So until then, I will catch you in 2 weeks' time. Yeah, so take care, guys. Have a great fortnight. Bye bye.
Nice.